Hello and welcome to Garblag Games. We are live on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us. We're here to have a chat before we film episode 4. Episode 4?
Who put a question mark on the teleprompter?
Of our Star Wars FFG Edge of the Empire game, Fractured Empire. The guys are here. We don't have Simon today, so he won't appear in the episode at the weekend. But we are here to have a bit of a chat and test our live streaming, because on Halloween we're doing a Mothership special, where you can win a copy of Mothership and a pound of flesh, the awesome expansion for Mothership.
Can we just clarify that a pound of flesh is an expansion for
It's a
it?
book.
You're not going to win an actual pound.
Don't worry,
of
I
actual
don't
flesh.
turn these into podcast form.
It's also unrelated to a Shakespeare play.
It is.
Yes.
It is. So
Other
you can.
pounds of flesh are available.
Indeed, I've got several that you can.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
All you have to do is go. Okay.
Wow.
Hey,
Keep
we're
it
live.
family
We're live.
Keep it family
We're
friendly.
live. We're live.
I wasn't. What are you talking about, you filth mongers?
Hello, Egil and Patrick. Thank you for joining us
Hi, guys.
live on the show. Please feel free to put any rude comments about Roger you want in the comments. Ooh.
They don't normally need encouragement, to be fair.
Now, hopefully, last week we've changed over the hardware with the laptops,
Yeah.
and last week we did a bit of a live broadcast. Was it the week before?
Last week.
Last week. And the video was a bit stuttery. So what I need you guys to tell me in the comments, which I've got on my phone down here in case you're watching and I'm looking down over here, how the video is doing. Because currently I've got the green thing is switching between green, yellow, amber, red, green, yellow, amber. So I'm not sure whether the stream is fully there. So
Oh, is that like
please let me know in the comments. Yeah, that's our bitrate down here. So it's going frames
it's
per
jumping around
second
quite a bit.
up and down. However, I think there's a little bit of skipping on the camera. Maybe because Roger's moved his phone away. We have got such
just moved
advanced
it closer.
technology. Oh, there you go. It looks
Oh,
like
look
it's
at that!
stabilised.
Stabilised.
Excellent.
Just by moving it a little bit
It's
closer.
because the phone is now
You know.
adjacent to this anomaly on the
Absolutely.
On the
No,
map.
it's just a few
Spatial
inches.
interference.
Exactly. Yeah.
A few inches make a big difference. But yeah, so
Wow. Now who's live?
still stuttering a bit. Well, let's see. Now we've got a green on the board.
Hopefully that might help.
Hopefully it's stabilised a bit. We're just testing because of the Mothership show is going to be live, which is going to be
I'm
fun.
looking forward to watching it, not taking part in it, because it looks too scary for me to take part in. Quite frankly.
Scary, what, Mothership itself or live game?
Did we make a decision about doing it in the dark with infrared cameras?
I'm not sure that's
I'm not
a
sure
good
that would work
idea.
very
You
well.
can't
With
see the
glowing dice. We could have just like red lights.
No,
what did you
what I was
roll?
thinking of
I'm not
doing
sure.
is putting a green film over our studio lights.
Nice.
Just like over the side ones,
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
central ones. So there's a little bit of a green.
green ambience.
Surely red would work
ambience.
better.
I was thinking red
But
because
Alien
might look
and
a
all
bit...
of our overlays
Alien,
are
yeah,
very
green.
green.
Yeah.
It's all very green themed. Excuse me.
Does green
looking
light always makes
okay
me
to me
think
now. Your
Yay.
picture freezes from time to time. Hey Alex. Hey Trevor. Hey Patrick. Trevor.
Hi, everybody.
Trevor's given a little okay. So it looks like
Cheers, Trevor.
it looks like it's okay. I think, however, the audio is generally okay throughout. So
It's
last
the
time the
video,
audio
yeah.
was fine,
Oh,
but
so
the
it
video
prioritises
skipped.
the audio on the...
Yeah, it seemed to
Well, I
prioritise
mean, that's a
the
good
audio.
thing. I'd rather it prioritised audio.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So if you guys can also let me know how the audio sounds, then that would be great as well.
Yeah, audio's better than these ugly mugs. It's a fair point.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had some contribution from our viewers on a lot of our shows on rules.
Because we're clueless.
We're clueless. And we're exploring games, and we like to think that the viewers explore them with us.
That's our excuse.
No, we know we're doing it wrong. We're just trying to see if you pick up on it. Yeah.
And,
It's all the tests.
So, Egil, I think on the Discord, maybe on YouTube, I'm not sure,
Bit of both.
mentioned Genesis for Star Wars. So Star Wars last episode, where we had Roger and Dan doing a little bit of a... there was an attack on a bar casino. someone fell off of a high staircase.
Yes, and we couldn't work out where
There
the
were no
damage
rules.
was.
Definitely
No
fell.
rules
He
in
wasn't kicked. I saw him.
Well-
He threw himself off.
Well, he was kicked first.
No. He just threw himself off.
He actually did throw himself off.
He
He did actually throw
He
himself
did.
off.
Audio is good. Seems the video has become more stable. Brilliant.
Hey.
Thank you, Eggle. Well, the Genesis game, which is a generic role-playing game with the same dice system, narrative dice system as Star Wars
interesting.
FFG.
Different
so produced
symbols, though,
by
presumably.
slightly. So produced by Fantasy Flight Games, and we've been talking about this a bit on our live shows. With Leon, is currently who stars in Flint and Steel as Corvin Apfelbaum, Wizard of the Empire. He's considering.
He's fabulous.
He is. Leon's doing such a good job with that character, and John. I mean, it's a strong team.
The Bretonian.
It's the generic system used in the Star Wars game. Yes, absolutely. And in here, there is a rule on falling damage, which is
so
great.
you can use the same rule
So
from
I'm gonna,
that.
yeah. So I've got it here.
So you're now going to try and contrive a situation where one of us falls
All of you fall.
simultaneously.
Yeah, down a large hole with an abrupt end. No,
Okay.
we'll see what happens. Maybe something falls on you.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Depends
So-
what it is.
That will probably clear up a few areas for us if there's any gaps, because I think with Star Wars they don't worry about some of the kind of more realistic stuff because it's space fantasy.
Yeah.
It's not even really science fiction.
With
Wizards.
fantasy.
Space wizards. No. No. Yes. So we had a bit of a conversation about that. We also had some feedback on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. We've
Few
Keep-
rules,
Yeah.
clarifications.
so
Oh, we've been doing it wrong.
well. It's not so much we've been doing it wrong, as in the
Different.
rules are easy to interpret in many ways.
That's like Warhammer in general.
That was a very political answer to that question.
Basically,
Yeah. I'm trying to get Cubicle 7 to support the channel, so
the rules
Anyway,
for some things are a bit spread out.
Fair enough.
yeah,
mean,
and
it's
you've
a-
sort of got
it's a
components,
gr-
and
it's a
if you
cracking
don't know they're
system,
all
though.
there, then you might miss one.
Yeah, basically you have to know like 4 different rules to make one thing work for certain situations.
And they've made the combat system very simple in one way, that it's one roll. So you roll the dice. If you hit, great. Your success level adds to your damage. You reverse the die and you get your location. Great. In fact, something I used in my own role-playing game that I created. But they've added lots of things on. So you're like, if you roll a double, it's critical, unless you've got a certain type of weapon. Whereas if you roll a number with a 0 on the end, it's critical. And then certain types of armor block criticals that are even numbers but not odd numbers.
Oh, this seems needlessly complex.
Like I said, like normal Warhammer.
However, I think what it
pretty
needs.
accurate.
I think what it needs is a set of cards. A set of
Reference sheets.
reference
as well.
sheets.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was
cards.
going to say, or similar to the sheets we use with the Edge of the Empire.
Absolutely.
They're brilliant. Those
Yeah.
things are fantastic.
And for me,
Yeah.
I would like monster cards with all the rules on the back.
Yeah.
They've saved space in the rule book by putting all the monster traits at the end, and each monster just has a list of traits.
Right.
But you then have to,
Like
keep-
cross-reference.
yeah.
And
because they
There's
don't
a lot
have a
of flicking
separate.
back and forth.
Yeah, because they don't have a monster manual
Yeah.
separate. They can't pad it all out with lots of things. So
Well,
D&D.
I'm hoping they will do a bestiary.
They will at some point. I mean, it's with time.
I mean, it's a very new system.
It is very new, and the core of it, and the style of it, and the feel of it, is still Warhammer. It's still great, and I absolutely love it. I think I am coming round to it being, close to second edition, and only because second edition played so much of, I think soon it will be my favourite, because I just bought the new,
The Enemy Within Part 1. Whatever
Enemy in
it's called.
Shadow.
oh, that was one you posted the other day?
Yeah. So the first part of that, we've got the PDF of that. Very excited about that. And there's loads of stuff in there that's just setting as well. It's not just an adventure.
Yeah.
There's like new cities that you can explore. Bogenhafen, which was the Shadows over Bogenhafen was the original.
It always happens in Bogenhafen in Warhammer.
Yeah.
That place is forever getting attacked.
It's
Or
not far from
Bogenhafen.
Uber's right, which is where the game is at the moment.
I still don't understand combat in Dark Heresy.
Don't worry
Roll
about
for initiative. What?
That's the same in a lot of games.
it. That's a core
That's a
thing
pretty
in many
normal
things.
thing,
Yeah.
Well, you're fairly new to role playing, aren't you?
That is true.
Yeah, I must
At least in the tabletop sense.
Family friendly. Family friendly.
How you follow up after that? Yeah, I mean, my first out into tabletop role playing was Scion, and that was so confusing for me. The first time I
Oh
played
my
it.
god!
That was
Because it's
my-
got like clauses. In
Yeah.
Scion's got even more complications.
Yeah, I remember that it was the first one I ever played was with you and John.
Yeah.
And you could do some really crazy things. But you were looking at your dice and be like, right, okay, so what have I roll? I've rolled something.
But then if you use at a certain point, you can re-roll some, or you can add some, and yeah, and then you've got to have all your boons and your knacks and your talents and your. Oh my god.
Yeah. I suppose once you get them,
yeah, once you get it,
you know,
I
but it's
understand
just
it.
a kind of a bit of a barrier.
What you
to
generally
entry,
find is a lot of Scions will use certain abilities very often because they're the ones you remember.
I mean, that's true of a lot of games, though.
That's true.
You
Yeah,
know.
I find that with the talents in
Spells in
Warframe.
Dungeons and Dragons, talents in Warframe. You know, there are
Bombs
easy
for
ones.
bug.
The what? Sorry.
Bombs for bug.
Bombs for bug. Yep. In Dark Heresy. Yep. Absolutely. Hey, Decryptic. Someone's put like a laughing smiley face 6 times. Hello.
I'm not sure whether it's a compliment or an insult.
He's probably just logged in and gone, ha! Look at these nerds.
Please, can you clarify that? We'd love to
We
know.
are geeks. Yeah. Okay. So yes.
That
So we
didn't
have
help.
we've had. Hey, I don't care. We are geeks. We're doing
reclaimed that word.
we're doing a tabletop role playing channel. You know, so
I'll get my
we're pretty much sure.
It's kind of implicit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Roger's like, all this time I've been a nerd, I must leave.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys are
Better
nerds.
go home and paint my Warhammer figures.
No one told me.
So yeah, thank you everyone who's been feeding back on the rules, and it's been in a very constructive way. No one's kind of said,
it's useful.
you don't know
Yeah,
what
no
you're
one's
talking about,
slamming us, which is nice.
all that kind of thing.
No, that is
so.
good, and it is appreciated.
Apart from one guy on Reddit.
Reddit doesn't count.
Yeah, Reddit's where the trolls live.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
It's like
It's like a
the
giant
under
bridge.
The, yeah, it's under the internet bridge.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Lots of stuff to comment on in the Woofert rules. Oh, I love it. Egil, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be one of our videos if it didn't have a rules comment from Egil. The last one is like, this was amazing. I really loved it. But here's my standard comment on the rules. It was brilliant.
He
Thank
is
you.
really helpful for us. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
learn.
yeah.
Massively helpful.
Because
Great.
he's like, for this, you have to remember that there's this rule on that page and that rule on that page, which means it all works like this. And having someone actually explaining what we're doing is like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense.
It
I'm
does
gonna
make
flip
sense.
out to flip out. I'm gonna flip out. No.
He's going to flip off. Wait, what?
Family friendly, Roger, damn it. But
Can
you
you,
Oh,
can
that's
you
why I'm
move
on
the
your-
bottle
I'm on-
about 6 inches that way?
it's
Perfect.
Simon!
Simon has been replaced by a bottle of Lucasade.
Other energy drinks are available.
They are.
Yeah, we do not endorse.
Here we go.
Product
So
placement.
Egil's. This show is so
also have.
great, but of course I have comments to what goes on. Smiley face. The first thing comment on here is the insane amount of bleeding conditions from the miscast.
Oh, that
So-
was mad.
So
yeah.
basically, there's this condition called bleeding. Whereas if you get a bleeding condition, you get a 10% chance of dying in your next round. Now Leon's a wizard, and miscast his spell, so he failed.
a minor
minor
miscast.
miscast. Yeah, but he passed the spell, but he rolled a double. So criticals, because magic's crazy.
Magic's very dangerous.
Yeah, because you're summoning like chaotic winds,
Right.
which sounds worse than it is.
Basically, yeah, magic is very dangerous in
and
Warhammer.
and one of the miscasts is gain 1d10 bleeding conditions, which could mean you roll a 10,
And then you're dead.
and the next round you die.
Because there's a 100% chance of it turning
Exactly.
And it's a minor
You can spend
miscast.
some of your super points, like every game's got, to like get rid of them.
But
you'd
only
still-
like one.
No, you can do as many resolve as you'd want.
Yeah, but you've only got like three or four.
Yeah, so you could
I
get
mean,
rid
the
of,
most
you could
you can
spend
get is
3
like-
and get down to 7 and still have a 70% chance.
So
So
literally, the most you can have is 6 physically, I think, and that's if you have no fate points.
Yeah.
And
And
you
then
could
you're an
burn
idiot.
all of them permanently
yeah,
to have only then a 40% chance
So-
of death from a minor miscast.
so
Sounded like the last episode of Dark Heresy where I think we all died and had to
No, there were a lot of fate
Fate
points burnt, but
Yeah.
we didn't all die.
yeah,
Just some people
Nearly.
closer than others.
yeah. So I made an executive decision to half it to a 1d5, which obviously Cubicle 7 don't really want to. They don't want to introduce a different die type because it's all about d10s. In first edition you had a d6 which you rolled for damage, so they've kind of stepped away from that. I was thinking about this actually, and maybe it should be 1d10 minus your intelligence or willpower bonus, minimum of 1. something like that. I think that is such a deadly minor miscast.
For a minor,
it should be in the major miscast. But Eggle says they're not quite as severe as you think. I believe the 10% chance of dying per bleeding condition is relevant only when a character is unconscious due to being at 0 wounds, but the bleeding conditions remain even if you're healed above. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a reread of the bleeding conditions to figure out how that all works, because it is a little bit extreme. So he rolled 8.
Yeah, 80% chance.
So he had 80% chance of death, and he was going to. And you take 8 wounds on your next turn because a bleed is you're bleeding out.
Yeah,
and I thought that's just crazy. No one could save him.
Typically, someone
who's going to die in like 3 rounds.
Typically,
anyway,
someone will have like 10 to 15 wounds.
Yeah, he's probably got about 12 because he's a wizard. I just said, no, half it, because that was just ridiculous
just crazy
for
a minor.
And then someone else commented, which I thought was quite nice. I was expecting some dark deals to be made because I'd forgotten for a while. I can offer you corruption points for a reroll. And it's chaos.
Corruption! I'm a dwarf, family! Don't believe in it!
Maybe that's a bad example.
There's no such thing as chaos dwarves.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. And then Mark and Eggle had a bit of a... Not this Mark, different Mark. Had a bit of a conversation in the comments about the rules and how they're a bit fiddly. But they all agree that the edition is great. So... I think it's a great...
It's good, it just needs smoothing a bit.
Yeah.
Needs an errata.
I'm going to make a few tweaks. And I do in the game anyway.
Yeah,
but I think that's
the GM's prerogative though, isn't it?
Well, the core of the rules remains the same. I mean, like one of the tweaks was capping the advantage bonus, because otherwise it can just run absolutely rampant. If you get like 10 advantage, it's just like, well, I'm on weapon skill 171, so...
Yeah. And hurting... One of the ways to get someone to lose all their advantage is to inflict a point of damage on them. Roger's character is covered in steel, and he's got 5 toughness, 5 armour,
6 toughness.
6. Sorry,
he is
6.
A dwarf.
Yeah, no, I know.
You're essentially an Ironbreaker, aren't you?
Basically, that was what I was going for.
Yeah.
The time that Roger was most scared was in season 1, when the wizard cast that boom spell. And I said, oh, you'll take 10 wounds, no armour, no toughness. And Roger's face, he was just like, what? That's what my character does. And I was like, ha-ha! And they've just discovered a necromancer. Summoning 2
I'm
ghosts.
really far away from it all. I'm completely unaware.
They can pass through solid matter. So we had a nice battle mat set up last time, and we were doing a bit of combat.
Only 2 people in the party can actually hurt the ghosts.
How do you hurt a ghost?
You need magic weapons.
You need they're ethereal, so you need magical weapons.
Yeah.
At least that's what it used to be.
It's the same principle. A lot of what's in Warhammer Fantasy...
They fought like 40 skeletons. And Bagric was just going...
when we worked out Deathblow was a thing.
Yeah. Basically, if you kill one in one go, you can use the momentum to step up and then hit another one.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can do it up to the number of times equal to your weapon skill bonus. So mine's 5. So I can just be 5 dead a turn.
5 in a turn, yeah.
5 dead a turn.
I mean, they are skilly bobs, and you are.
Oh yeah, they were rubbish, but
and there were just a delaying. I wanted to do a mass combat.
And a moose boosh.
And a moose boosh. So they all, absolutely. So they all had plus 40 to hit him. Yeah, and I made them slightly tougher. So they, instead of 25 weapon skill, they had 35 weapon skill because he'd picked particularly good
dead people
to raise.
They were more like grave guard than normal skeletons.
Exactly. And they had corruption. So when they went up to them, they had to roll.
Vicious,
see if basically, everyone took a bit of corruption, I think.
I didn't.
But did you not take
I used rerolls.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, he's like, I'm not having any corruption.
No, none of that. I'm a dwarf.
Yeah. So, and you were out of fortune points, though, weren't you?
I was, very much so.
Yeah, and then the ghost turned up, and now his fortune points have reset. So,
not that I'm even aware that they're there.
No, you're not.
Bagric's still stomping around shouting about things.
Sam's character Morgan has kind of gone off on his own and pushed open a door and then seen a necromancer raise 2 kind of spirits out of.
Bagric's still ranting and raving.
Someone is using a warehouse to store dead bodies.
I just hope it's not a full moon and then it turns into a person.
No. Don't worry. Oh, hello. Just getting the chat back up.
This is where we've got like a million comments of "Shut up, please stop."
Okay,
stop
here we
talking."
go. Here we go. Lots of stuff to comment on. Egil, did I forget to say that I think the 10% chance of dying from bleeding only kicks in when you're unconscious? I think I'm a bit behind on the comments.
I think it is.
Alex, I'm just waiting on Leon to summon a greater demon by mistake. It doesn't help that John goes, demon, demon.
That's a throwback to when we used to play Death Watch, and one of the things on that is you can summon a greater demon that specifically tries to kill the person that accidentally summoned it.
You can do that in Warhammer as well, in fantasy.
Yeah, we had that happen in an old Wolfrip second ed game.
So,
Not a greater demon, just a lesser demon.
Egil says the condition is poorly worded. Amethyst wizards check their spells. ... There must be something in there that
Is
says
that like a death wizard?
could stop someone from even dying from the bleeding condition when they're unconscious or something. I hate it when you have to infer
Morgan's
things from the
got an
effects
ability of spare the dying or whatever it is. It's like the Warhammer version of that stops people dying.
Okay.
Stay Moore's hand.
Okay,
I think.
cool.
Oh, yeah, because she's a priest of Moore.
She's a priest of Moore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a priest of Moore. He.
He,
Morgan.
sorry.
Well, we're referring to
Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And then
She's
Egil
playing
says,
a
I
priest
like
of
the
Moore.
death blow rule. Yeah.
To be honest, it speeds up like mass combats. I mean, it kind of helps if you're fighting like a horde of 40, I don't know, goblins,
Skeletons.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
some chaff unit. It just kind of helps speed things up a bit rather than it taking like tons and tons of rounds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool.
Well, that's made me think is I need Combat Master on Bagric. What's that? You can't outnumber me.
No! It's alright, I'm going to magic him to death. No, I mean, no. I wouldn't do that, would I?
Yes.
Yeah.
To be honest, the way to get Bagric isn't through combat. It's
Range.
making people talk at him.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's just like,
Bagric doesn't have social skills.
yeah.
So this character's a self-insert then.
No, the problem Bagric knows like nothing about humans at all. He just
Like I say, this character's a self-insert.
and so when he's talking to like even quite high-ranking humans, he just like really derogatory refers to them as manling. He doesn't know anything.
The mayor,
To be honest,
the captain of the guard.
to be honest,
right, man,
even if he did know who they were, he'd probably still talk to them like that because that's what the dwarfs did.
Yeah.
Nobody was as good as they were.
That's true.
Well, it's true.
How long is Bagric's beard?
Oh, he's actually very young. He's
Yeah.
only a beardling.
Oh, he's only a
Yeah.
beardling.
They
Which is still 10 times better than any man.
they met a Longbeard recently, and he was like, "Oh, hello, honoured one," and they were like, "Oh, hang on, we thought he was being nice to us, but no, he's not. He's nice." They look at Bagric in a very different way now. They've seen him be polite.
Any dwarf will obviously be very like deferential to a long beard. So. And the guy had like a floor-length grey beard. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like okay.
I always used to love that about dwarf fluff. It was just like, if you're in a dangerous situation, look for the guy with the longest beard. that was the whole thing. If you had a long beard, any bit of longer.
Yeah, because I wanted Bagric to be quite young because that kind of gave him the excuse to know nothing about humans. He's supposed to be inexperienced about the world. I mean, he knows combat and all of that. That's kind of his thing, but.
Well, he's a mindbreaker for all intents and purposes. So.
Well, that's his ambition.
Yeah. But that's cool.
Yeah, so I didn't want to give because I can buy him social ability. I just don't want to because it's funny.
It's good that way. You got Torvald for that.
Well, the thing is, if I made Bagric a really good at talking and really good at fighting character, it'd just be like I'm the superhero here.
Yeah.
It's kind of I need him to
It
have
would just
the flaw.
it would just be healing that you, or
Yeah, I need him to have the character flaws because otherwise he's not going to be. He'd be like Superman. I'm amazing at everything, and that's not fun.
No, it's not.
You want your character.
The problem
to
is
have
they will
flaws.
all get close to that at some stage. The challenge for me as the GM becomes a slightly different one as we go on, and hopefully you can see that the scale of what's going on with the story is
ramping up a bit.
getting bigger. I don't want it to go. I want it to be sort of.
Well,
We can get like 8 seasons out of this. Come on.
Well, I'm hoping it will run indefinitely.
You mean
It will
like,
outlive Coronation
you mean like
Street.
Sky tried to do
Oh yeah.
Just dragged it
Oh,
on way too
imagine
long.
that. One day it could be in the Guinness Book of Records as like the longest running episodic.
Show on
show.
Garblag Games. It already is. No,
I
there's
love watching it. It's so
there's
much fun.
always a space for Flint and Steel. It's our top show from a views point of view. But I love Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I always have.
Yeah, same.
I just love the Warhammer.
The Warhammer world is
Yeah.
fantastic, and there's so much lore behind it. It's such a good place to explore.
It is. It is. Oh,
Basically,
up
it's
to
got
8
like
viewers.
30 years of lore written about it, and a lot of it. Because obviously it's been from a game for a very long time. They were writing stuff all the time. So
Yes. It is a great world, you know, and it's easily identifiable, but it's got the strangeness and the weirdness. It's got different things,
and
odd
it's not
things.
light and fluffy like Dungeons and Dragons.
It's grim
is.
and
It
perilous.
is it's a horrible world. No one would want to live there. Basically, everything wants to kill you.
Yeah, if you're civilized,
Yeah,
it wants to kill you.
Basically, there's the humans and the dwarves who are allied against everything else because everything else wants them dead.
Yeah, apart from the elves, but they're busy.
Never trust an elf.
You two, I don't know.
Actually, I'm an elf lover, but there is the dark elves.
I'm an elf lover. I'm late. Fabius Bile, hello.
Fabius
Welcome.
Bile. Oh my God, run for the hills.
Alex Moss, Bagric to end up as a giant slayer.
No, I
He's
don't
gonna have to shave.
No.
Shave an ape.
No, Slayer's such
the
a
only
boring
way,
career.
The only way that would happen is if Lawrence decides he doesn't want to be on the show anymore and he wants Torvald to die, and then we would have it so that it's Bagric's fault,
Oh my God.
and he has to shave his head.
He'd have to
and
take the
go and
oath.
take
Yeah,
the
but the
oath.
problem is the Slayer's such a dull career. It's so cliche. I just
To
didn't wanna do
play,
it.
it's and on a
And that would
you
I
know.
would probably just retire Bagric if that happened because it would just be no fun to play.
maybe for a couple of sessions, but then you could lead up to him like just disappearing off into the mountains to fight orcs until he dies, or something.
No, he'd go,
No.
he'd go on the
Patrick's
path of
put-
Grimnir.
High elves, don't forget the high elves.
High elves.
Don't
Just,
forget don't forget the high elves. Oh, well, you never forget them. Don't trust them. Don't turn your back on them.
Well, there's one somewhere in the city, isn't there? That's turned up, a law mistress.
I know that makes it worse. It's an elf and a wizard.
I love the elves.
Yeah.
If I was playing Flint and Steel, I'd definitely be a swordsmaster. And I would just like look at you all the time.
My
You-
God.
You say that until you get an axe to the groin.
So
I don't know. A
what's-
swordsmaster would be a pretty tough fight, I think.
What some people may not know is that when Kevin, who played Siegbert, Altman von Schultz, the noble turned warrior priest of Sigmar, when he first joined the channel and he was going to play in the, well, not the channel, but join that show.
Join the show, yeah.
He went round to Rogers to roll his character.
I went round to his.
Oh, you went round to his. And he rolled a high elf wizard. And
No,
Roger
no,
said,
he didn't roll an elf.
yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, because he said,
No, he said he
Roger told
wanted
me-
to play an elf.
oh,
wizard,
right. And then
But
you
he
said,
didn't
I'll
roll
kill
elf
you.
because there's only like there's like such a marginal thing of getting it.
Yeah, it's like a 1% chance for each type of elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can just pay, not have some experience points and pick it. But you wanted to be an elf wizard, and you said, "I'll kill you. I will just kill you." And he was like, "What?" So he went with what he rolled, which was a human noble. And he turned up and he said, "I was going to be an elf wizard, but Roger told me he'd kill me."
No, not Bagric, me. I'll just kill him.
Bagric versus Grimgore.
Oh,
my
Grimgor
God.
Iron Hand. That would be
I-
amazing.
I don't
Jesus.
know. I don't know.
To be fair, I
Who
think
that is.
Grimgor is like the leader of the orcs, and he
He-
is nails.
And he basically becomes the incarnate of the beast law of magic, doesn't he? Towards the end, in the end
Ooh.
time.
that's like
That's
Oh,
like, but
yeah.
he is
I know,
as far as things
he's
go.
nails.
As
He's
far as things
properly
go,
nails.
all the orcs
Well-
when they see him go, "You're right, boss."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is he huge?
Oh, he's
Massive, yeah.
massive. He's the biggest.
Because they
black
get
orc
bigger,
there is.
don't they? When
Yeah.
they,
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the biggest black orc around. He's
Um,
he's massive.
Well, greenskins have been mentioned in Flint and Steel, haven't
Well,
they?
I
And
doubt
you're near
we're
the
gonna,
mountains.
I doubt we're going to face Grimgor Ironhide.
No. I didn't even know who he was, so you're definitely not.
He's in
You
the
will
wrong-
now.
Yeah.
Also, we're in the wrong part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he lives in
Because
Badlands.
yeah, he's over.
He lives in the Badlands.
That's what they call
12 Badlands Road.
Basically,
It's like you know where
the wrong side of the mountain, the wrong
I
side
don't
of the
know
other
the
mountains.
Fancy Battle or Age of Sigmar and any of that. I know it's different, don't worry. But I don't know all of the last
You
season.
nearly triggered me there,
all,
Pete.
no, all the last editions of Warhammer Fantasy Battle are more the roleplay,
Yeah.
more the roleplay world.
Yeah.
They are one and the
I
same.
think we.
He
we're
nutted
quite a bit earlier.
Archaon.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
I hope-
Yeah, he did.
YouTube asked me to review that.
I asked you to review He Nutted Archeon.
Yeah,
5 stars.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, like to say whether I should show that comment or hide it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that some weird practice? Is
Anyway,
Family friendly.
family friendly. So,
I'm not an Archon tonight.
Mr. Charisma 18 had put Halfling Love. And then
Halflings are smaller
Fabius
than
Bar
dwarves.
put Halflings
Halflings
are
are
a
a lot
great
smaller.
great race to play as.
They're playing on
Bring back the
hard mode
halfling.
now, though. Halflings are classed as small, which meant if a human's being aggressive, they cause fear in halflings.
I was reading
And I
a
think
comment about this on Twitter or Reddit or something, and they said, think that because they live in human society, that you should not make humans cause fear in them because it was just so harsh on them.
it just seems ridiculous. I mean, all human halflings, if they get anywhere near a human, will just get ruined because they get so many penalties when fighting them.
Yeah, it's true, but they get a bonus to shoot them as well.
Yes.
Yes. So,
But
and halflings are good at ranged combat, so that makes them even more deadly at ranged combat. So there is a small balance there. Basically, halflings don't get in close combat, which I think is
and if
generally
they do,
a
they
good,
are dead.
I think it's generally a good rule for halflings
Yeah, I mean,
not to
I
get in
would
close
not put a
combat.
halfling anywhere near.
Will Garblag Games run Age of Sigmar RPG?
I hope someone.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about what we might run, because I also wanted to briefly, I know it's getting on a little bit, it's 10 past 8 and we need to start filming in about 20 minutes. But I did want to talk about what possible games we could run in the future, and I thought an Age of Sigmar game would be great, and I thought Dan should run it.
You know a lot more about the law than us.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think an Age of Sigmar game
I
would
would love
be,
to- I'd
would
love
be a
to
lot of
play
fun to
one.
try it out. From when it first came out to now, I've heard stuff about it more and more that I think, oh, that sounds interesting, rather
Since-
than
But
what?
even if it was a short, just
Since
to try it
Age
out.
of Sigmar 2.0, the law has been massively changed. Games Workshop basically just went, do you know what, we should probably flesh this game out now.
Yeah.
A lot of the factions have all been fleshed out now with their
That's
own
cool.
stories and backgrounds, and
There's more There's definitely a lot more stories coming out.
and then there's actually a lot more of the major factions now have a decent background. It's not just like they live in the realms of magic. There's
Yeah.
a lot more to
Yeah,
it now,
yeah.
and there's a lot more. You know more about their motivations and stuff now, as well, which is
and
big.
it's quite cool now that they're doing a lot more audio stories and a lot
yeah,
of books about it. So Gotrek's now back in the. He's now
with
in
Brian
Age of
Blessed
Sigmar
doing the voice.
with Brian Blessed
it's
voicing it, and it is
Yeah.
amazing.
It is fabulous.
If you do want
John keeps going on about it. He's like, oh, you've got to listen to Brian Blessed.
He does the voice
I
of Total
can-
War as well. He
I
does
can
for
lend
the
it
game.
to you.
Oh, really?
He does,
Oh, right.
he does the voice of Total
Oh,
War
wicked.
as well.
I love Brian Blessed.
I've got the 2 audios. I can lend them to you.
And you did a Warhammer tournament.
A doubles
Yeah,
tournament
we
the
were
weekend, yeah.
Age of
Not
Sigmar.
you weren't a double in that.
No,
way.
no, we weren't. No,
Right.
I was with my wife Mel, and you were with John, weren't you?
I was teamed up with John, who you know as
Sir
Sir
Gale.
Gale from Flint and Steel, or
Maria from
Maria from Scion, or
Yeah.
one of
oh,
his many.
Griff Gadarian as the guardsman in Dark Heresy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was at Warhammer World in Nottingham.
Yeah, it was good fun.
That was a really good
Yeah,
weekend.
it was really good
Mm-hmm.
weekend.
That's cool. The other games I've been thinking about running, I want to do Zweihander again, and I want to do it set in Black Road. My setting for that.
That is available on Drive-Thru RPG. Other settings are available.
Yeah, they are. There's a few on there now.
But they're rubbish.
I think I don't know if it's still going, but there was a bundle where you could get all Zweihander content at like 25% off or like a massive reduction.
Oh wow!
So you could.
Well, worth checking out. Zweihander's a really cool game. Even
It
if
is
you
a
have
really
to say
cool
it
game.
wrong.
I have not had the pleasure of playing it.
It's got some similarities to Woofra, but it's a different game. It's very good. You could certainly use it to play something in a kind of Warhammery feel.
Yes.
It's good.
I think the emphasis is not completely on combat. Combat's very can be
Brutal.
It's very brutal. You're suddenly like really injured
Healing
and
is
down, and you're dying.
incredibly slow.
So more like real life then.
Yeah, it's kind of if you mix Warhammer with real life.
Real time.
Yeah.
Warhammer.
And I've created a setting for it, which is on the Grim and Perilous Library on Drive-Thru RPG. And my goal is to work on that setting until about March, April, to flesh it out. I've got a few more things to do for patrons on our Patreon, which you can see a link for down below. I've got a write-up for the House of Humble Thought, which I just put the coloured map on the Patreon yesterday.
Ooh, I
And
haven't seen
I've
it
got
yet.
the sewer lair to finish off. I'd forgotten I hadn't finished that one off, so I need to finish that one off.
Amateur.
Absolutely. I mean, what am I doing with all my time?
Anyone would think he's got a family.
And then, we've had so 1 second, Alex. I'll come to your question in a moment. And then I'm going to be doing maps for patrons, but focusing on Black Road to try and flesh that out and write that up, and maybe try and convince Daniel to publish it.
That would be cool.
Which would be cool. But I want to flesh it out so that we can have a really cool campaign and have something that's kind of a bit political, a little bit combat, but more sort of journeying, all that kind of stuff. So that should be fun. I'm thinking about a Mothership campaign for next year.
Mothership's
which would be cool. Which would mean I'd have to stretch out the scares and the horror, and not have it all happen in one episode.
No, just have every episode really intense.
Oh my god, I'm not sure I could take it.
That would be cool, and I'm really looking forward to the Halloween special.
Yeah, that should be good. I loved playing it the first time.
If you do decide to do a campaign, can I reserve a spot now?
Sure.
That's gone out live
Yeah.
and is now a binding verbal contract.
Yes. The other. Oh, sorry. Alex has put in a comment. I'm not up to date with Age of Sigmar. Is it completely separate to fantasy, or is it post end times?
It's
Might not be enough time to go through though.
in a
It's
basic
just,
sense.
they just rebooted.
But, well,
It's
not,
in a
not
basic
really.
sense,
I
but
mean,
so
basically, the old world explodes, and the Age of Sigmar is born from that with
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
And
gods
they took
of
some
the
of the cool
Warhammer
characters
world.
that they
so
liked.
the very end of
Not many, but a
the
few.
very end
Yeah.
of End Times is essentially Sigmar holding on to what was left of the world that was.
Yeah.
And the world that was is then recreated by the big dragon god figure who finds Sigmar floating through space, and they use that to create the eight realms, which basis on the magic of original. So it has some basis in the fantasy world, and there are some of the characters who've made the transition, but for the majority of it,
mainly,
like
the,
Nagash.
mainly the gods.
yeah, anything that was powerful enough to be a god, or in the End Times became the incarnates of the realm of the winds of magic, basically
Okay.
made it across.
So
the
And
transition.
Gotrek.
So
And Gotrek, because
well, Godtrek, he wasn't actually on the world when the old world when it blew
Spoilers.
up.
Are you about spoil?
No, this
spoil
is
the
this
book?
is like old.
this is old stuff.
Okay.
So he wasn't actually there. He went into the realms of chaos to basically find his doom.
Okay.
Because Grimnir convinced him that that's what he should do.
Seems a strange
Basically,
thing to
Grimnir
do.
basically lied to him,
Yeah.
and he didn't go there to get his doom because he was just endlessly fighting chaos.
Okay.
And he
Fun.
gets spat out into the mortal realms,
Okay.
which is in Age of Sigmar, and that's where I'm going to stop saying because
Okay.
that's where the
Where
book,
the
that's
new-
where the
book
audios
begins.
pick up.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's actually that's how I started learning about Age of Sigmar because I hadn't really been following any of the lore, and then Gotrek made a return. I went, I kind of want to learn about it, and he's just appeared in the world, so I'll kind of learn with him,
Yeah.
and it's actually really quite
Yeah.
good.
And it's interesting because you're playing elves now, aren't you?
No, I'm playing trees.
Oh, okay.
They're
sorry.
like the wood elves, but there's no
elves
elves. there.
became trees.
But basically, he's
Actual
playing it.
trees.
They divided the wood elves, so the elves
Dryads.
and the trees that got separated into their own separate factions.
Oh, okay.
So,
So no elves.
there's no elves.
Best
in
part
there.
of the wood elf army, no elves.
Well, apart from the tree revenants who look like spooky elves.
But they're
Are they
dead
like
elves.
ghosts coming out of trees?
Yeah.
they're dead elves.
Yeah,
so
they're
it's
dead.
fine.
They're
They've got like
spirits.
tree combat armor.
Yeah.
The only good elves are dead elves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like
basically,
but
yeah.
like like little mecha suits of bark.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool.
And that's the army I
They are
took
really
to
cool.
the.
Thanks,
Double
guys. You're welcome, Alex. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of information
Yeah.
and
The
interest.
audiobooks are superb.
Yeah, if
by
you're
the way.
gonna, I mean, I'm fully behind it as well.
And if you don't know who Brian
I'm
Blessed
fully
is,
behind.
I'm fully behind.
I'm fully behind.
I'm behind.
Well, I'm sold.
No, they are really good.
The role-playing game's called Soulbound,
I'm
and
gonna
the
be
cover art was released by
It
a
looked
dude
good.
with a giant
with
sword,
either a
compound
massive
bow.
sword or a massive scythe or a massive bow.
Yeah, but you can also play a knight questor and
Yes.
like
And
Which is
all
not
these kind of-
Bretonium.
Yeah.
Just
No.
for anyone who knows fantasy.
a Knight Questor.
Is a-
Sigmar took the humanity and dwarves, I believe, greatest heroes, and reforged them as basically spirits in armor.
Yeah.
And
took the gene seed and made super soldiers.
well, as to what that's actually inside them is a bit of a mystery, isn't it?
Well, they do.
So I thought they didn't look like humans when they first came out and they had their helmets on.
Because some of them
I thought they were literally automatons.
So when they were first out, there was a lot of that. People didn't actually know what Stormcast was. It wasn't until Stormcast 2.0 that they actually made them human again.
Yeah.
So they are, for all intents and purposes, human. But what Sigmar does is he takes their souls, whacks them on a giant anvil, and slaps them with a lightning until they turn into. But it doesn't always work, and there are issues with that as well. Dun, dun, dun.
What happens?
We don't know yet. It's still with Undead. Actually, their job isn't to fight the Undead. It's actually to go and find. They're trying to find a way to stop the collapsing of the. Because basically, some of the spirits get hammered back into existence, scream and blow up towers in the Azure palaces and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
in Sigmar.
basically, Nagash did a giant spell.
I'm experiencing all of the confusion.
Nagash did a giant spell, and it basically.
I think it's,
The what did?
Nagash.
The gash.
Nagash.
Oh, Nagash.
Gone
Oh, right.
Nagash.
Red.
He's basically the god of death.
Ah.
And he's
yeah,
not,
like giant undead.
and he basically is upset that Sigmar
Oh,
is
it's gone
stealing.
green again.
Sigmar has been stealing all of his souls, so they're
He's
all due to
annoyed.
him because he's the god of death, basically.
Yeah.
So what he did was he decided to do a spell that was going to destroy the mortal realms. Only I think the Skaven come and nick something before it was finished happening.
The
So
mortal realms referring to
Basically
like,
where people
reality
live.
as we know it.
No.
No, it's
no.
basically
Oh.
think of. Do you know Discworld at all? With the giant disc world.
Yeah,
Think of
yeah,
it
yeah.
like that. The mortal realms are basically 8 realms of magic, each
Oh,
one making
okay,
up a
okay,
part
okay.
of type one of the winds of magic, and each one of them is just basically a floating sort of thing
So
inside.
there's like a realm of fire, a realm of
life,
death, a realm of life.
Realm of beasts.
Realm of beasts.
Yeah, shadow.
the realm of shadow,
Oh, they sound horrible.
light, and heavens.
It's intense. It's really
Oh,
intense.
it is, and it's
Oh,
quite
now
cool.
video's going choppy again.
It's really
That's
interesting.
Oh,
following
we're
it
probably
along.
on a bit of a delay, and they might be seeing.
Yeah.
What
it's
I
fine.
found quite cool is that
Historical
Stormcasts do sometimes retain some of their memories from when they were
Yeah,
alive.
basically the first.
Again, I'm not going to delve too much into that. because it
Basically, the
comes up
first
in
time
the
they're
story.
reforged, but each reforging. So basically, even when they die, they get reforged again.
Okay.
So it's a never-ending reforging process. However,
Recycle,
Yeah,
reuse.
yeah, you know, that's
Yeah.
good for
Basically,
the environment. But each time they lose a little bit more of themselves, and it gets to the point where they don't know how many times they've died, and they like. I think it was one of the stories in the last Stormcast book where basically the Stormcast turn up to a village that's had a sort of Nurgle partial infection. No one's really shown an infection, but they were like, "We've been besieged by Nurgle, please help us!" And then the Stormcast go in there and just hammer them all to death because they think you're not clean or pure.
Oh, cool.
So it's making it look quite grim. So they're no longer just like the saviours that they have been in the
A bit
previous.
fascist.
They're not so much fascist, but they're certainly going.
Space Marines.
Basically, yeah.
I think they're turning.
Ah.
I think they're turning it into like a darker.
Yeah.
setting.
Heresy.
Yeah, pretty much. Only they don't have flamers; they have very large hammers.
I think it was a bit light when it first started out, and they're trying to make it that bit grimmer and darker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. They're trying to make it a bit more
what you did there.
nuanced as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just, ha ha, evil.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh no,
you
no,
know,
they're definitely rather than having it all being very black and white, they're definitely adding grey in there now.
A lot of grey daughters.
And it's really, oh god, it's very cool though.
yeah, it's a very cool setting.
cool. Well, I think we'll play Age of Sigmar role-playing game then. And I
Um,
think Dan will run it,
I'll
because he
try.
knows a lot about it.
no, to be fair, knowing the lore is more important than knowing the rules. 'Cause,
Oh, yeah.
You know that's why we've
Everyone
got,
else around the table can know the rules.
Well, that's why we've got people like Egil around, because Egil knows the rules and he can tell us when we go wrong. Cheers,
And as far as I
Egil.
know, it's like a D6 dice pool system, so it won't be...
Hopefully it'll
massively
be more
complicated.
straightforward.
Okay, I'll do
Because I think they want it to be D6 dice pools so that you can play Warhammer Fantasy
Oh, it's
Age of Sigmar on the tabletop and on the role-playing with the same dice kind of thing.
Essentially, bring your heroes and then build an army afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. And you could bleed one into the other. Cool.
Oh, does that mean I can play my Sylvaneth character who is called Rich Mahogany?
He
Has it got like apostrophes in there to like break it up, or is it just Rich Mahogany?
Oh, I never wrote it down.
Mahogany.
I mean, when people said, "Have you named your general?" I went, "Yeah, it's Rich Mahogany."
Brilliant, brilliant. And on that note, I think we'll end our live stream because we're going to get on and record episode 4 of Fractured Empire, Edge of the Empire. You can see the games we're currently running on the screen there. Please don't forget to go and check out Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, come and join us on our Discord. We've got a growing community of role players talking about all kinds of things on there, and occasionally I like shout about maps and stuff.
Oh, not just role playing. There's other topics
There is.
on there.
Yeah, I've been putting some battle.
Discussed a
miniature-
bit of the tournament on there.
Oh, did we?
Oh, I did.
Also, go and check out our Mothership teaser for our Halloween show. You can win a copy of Mothership and A Pound of Flesh, which is an expansion for Mothership.
And if you haven't watched the first one that we did, go watch that. It's awesome.
It was terrifying.
It's
brilliant.
it's done very well, that one.
Precisely why I can't play it. I get scared so easily.
You watched? Have you seen the?
It was terrifying.
Oh man, you should definitely be in it. Then and you're like, okay.
It reminded me of. Did you ever watch the film Event Horizon?
Yeah.
It was terrifying. It just reminded me of that. I was like, no,
Well,
no.
then I did my job. So thank you. Also, check out our other shows. There's loads of links below. Go and check them all out.
Check all of the links.
Check out our friends of our channel as well, the Thornless Rose, the Old World podcast, who talk a lot about the history, the products, and the setting of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And Bjørn Felle,
Some douchebag.
this guy over here, who does terrifying retro electro.
Pretty much.
That's-
Oh yeah, my new single's out next week.
Oh, what's that called?
Halloumi.
Halloumi.
Oh,
I like cheese.
It's like
sounds delicious.
as in cheese. It's like it's stylistically, it's like a Balkan kind of Greek Cypriot big band / really dark and twisted children's TV show.
That's probably got to be the best sale for a
words
single
in
I've
a
ever
combo I
heard.
never
I
expected.
couldn't
to
decide. I couldn't decide on a genre, so I thought I'd just have all of
Just
them.
mash it all together.
All of
Don't
them.
you have a kids choir?
Oh, yeah, I got a
sampled
load-
in,
No, I actually went. It's one
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
one of the schools I've been working in. I went in and recorded a load of the kids singing. Halloumi. Yeah, yeah. I think there's actually on my channel. I think there's a live version of the song. So
I
you
didn't
can
realise
And of course, Mike, you
it was
did.
a song. I just assumed it was just a
I-
delicious cheese.
And I well it is a delicious cheese.
It is.
At
It's
least
quite
we're all,
meaty.
at least
I
we're
like
all
it's quite
agreed
meaty.
on that.
Yeah.
If you haven't had halloumi, I suggest you try it. Grill it, or barbecue ideally.
Yeah. And Mark did
There you are,
music for the
culinary
channel as
advice.
well.
Yeah.
She did the intro music for Fractured Empire and
Grimdark.
the Mothership.
And Mothership.
Oh, I did do that as well, didn't I? Yeah.
So if you
Oh,
watch
oh,
the
oh,
teaser,
oh.
it's got this haunting over the top, and it's like,
yeah. Gives
and
you chills.
when you sent me that, I was like,
It does actually
fucking hell, this is just spot on. So good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm
thank
really
you.
excited about the Mothership show. Now the big thing about Mothership is it's on Halloween. My
Oh,
wife
Jesus.
is due to have a baby 6 days later. So I apologise. Well, I don't apologise. If my son comes early, then it won't happen.
Unacceptable.
Did you not have someone stand in for you at the birth?
At the birth. The important thing's being
It's
here.
more
a
the fact
substitute.
that for the 4 to 6 weeks after that, I will be unavailable for evenings. So
Also
we're
unacceptable.
arranging other shows and more stuff to come into the studio. We're going to do a bit of tabletop wargaming as well. I'm hoping that someone will play Warcry on the channel for us. And Black Seas, the new Warlord Games
Oh, the
Pirate one.
Napoleonic.
Napoleonic ship
ship.
battles.
That looks really cool.
Paul, who's in the Zweihander game and is going to be in the Mothership game, has got Black Seas and is interested in running that on the channel,
That'd be
because
really cool.
this space is actually quite good for a 3x3.
Yeah.
And I've had a thought about how we can rig the cameras up to make it work. Anyway, after all of that gumph, thanks very much for joining us, and we shall see you very soon on Garblag Games. Bye bye.